We meet here every Tuesday, 7:45, and we end at 9:15. And we're also available on Fairfield's local access channel, FPAC. I want to tell you what the mission of our club is. The mission of our Toastmaster Club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every single member has the opportunity to develop communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-development and confidence. We are a non-discriminatory club. The only requirement is that you are 18 years old and can do on your own the assignments to be a Toastmaster. How many of you here are guests in our club? All right. Would you like to say how you found your way to this club room at Hy-Vee?
Hi everybody, my name is Matthew Lake. This is my third time being a guest here. Just checking out the club and seeing how the interactions go. I was invited by a friend who isn't in attendance tonight, but here I am.
All right.
Okay, welcome Matthew. Ron?
All right, this is my fourth time to Toastmasters, and I was on the fence for the first couple years, actually. It took me a while to actually join, but tonight's my first night being a member, I guess. I signed up.
We just got
right.
I'm here to work on my delivery and my ums and my likes, and removing them from my speech.
I can help you with your ums.
Okay.
You just stand up here and you count to 100 times. You'll be great at
Sounds like
at the end of that 100 count. Thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, so at this point I would like to turn the meeting over to our wonderful, beautiful Toastmaster of the evening, Diane Denbaum.
Good evening, everyone. I'm the Toastmaster. Welcome, guests, members, and viewers at home. My role tonight is just to make sure things run smoothly. I'm like the hostess, and that things run on time. I'm going to get started. My first job is to introduce the role players. So our timer tonight is Dan Craig. If you would give us a brief report on what you're up to this evening. Thank you.
My job as timer is to keep track of the timing of every speech that occurs, including table topics and evaluations. The table topics are 1 to 2 minutes. The green light is turned on at 1 minute. The yellow light is turned on at 1 minute 30 seconds. The red light is turned on at 2 minutes and remains on until the end of the talk. Tonight we have one speech which is 10 to 15 minutes. So I'm going to turn the green light on at 10, the yellow at 12 and a half, and the red at 15. Then for evaluations, they will be 2 to 3 minutes. The green light is turned on at 2 minutes, the yellow at 2 minutes 30 seconds, the red at 3 minutes, and remains on to the end of the evaluation. Every speaker has a grace period after the red light comes on of 30 seconds, and then will applaud furiously to encourage them to sit down. I'll give a report at the end of the meeting.
Thank you. We have a substitute tonight for the grammarian, and I'm actually going to take on another role. So I'll be the grammarian, and my role tonight is, first of all, I introduce the word of the day, which we try to use during the evening's meeting. Tonight's word is represent, which in this case will mean to stand for or symbolize. I didn't have a chance to write a sentence, but a sentence would be, I am going to represent the grammarian this evening. Thank you, Diane. You're welcome. Woo! The next role is the odd counter, and Jean Symington Craig will introduce that role. Thank you, Jean.
My job as the odd counter is to count filler words that people use instead of pausing. You because they don't quite know what to say, so these are ums, ahs, you know, likes, so's, wells, repeats, where your mouth goes faster than your brain, so you have to say it again. And I'll give a report at the end of the meeting.
Thank you. I just wanted to add with my role, I'll also look for special uses of the English language, colorful, meaningful language, and if I find any grammatical mistakes, I'll make note of that. Our next role we'll be meeting him a bit later, but I'll introduce Art Atkinson, will be our general evaluator this evening. Art. Our greeter joke master this evening is, actually I could use someone to represent that person as well. Anyone have a joke in their pocket? Or Gene Simonton Craig will take that on this evening. Thank you. We have a greeter at the door, so I hope the guests felt greeted. If not, I'll represent the greeter as well, and greetings and welcome. Ballot counter and leader counter. We'll just step up and collect the ballots. Yes? Okay, good. If you have your leadership manual and you have a role, please pass it to someone and they'll fill that out for you if you are an odd counter or table topic master. Good. It's time for the prepared speeches. This is a very important, the main kind of part of our meeting. Tonight, guests and viewers at home, we only have one speech. Usually we have 2 or 3. It's a longer one, and someone else that was going to speak was not well and wasn't able to make the meeting. The good news is, at the end of the meeting, we'll have some extra time for table topics, which you'll be able to participate in. I'd like to now introduce Rick Starr, who will read the objectives for the speech tonight. Rick?
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home, it's my pleasure to introduce Louis Denbow. Louis is the co-author with his wife Diane of the book Madly in Love Forever, a guide to true and lasting love. In addition to being a relationship coach, Louis is presently bringing communication skills, stress reduction techniques, and executive coaching to businesses. Louis will be giving a talk from the Toastmasters Better Speaker Series. The Better Speaker Series provides new speaking techniques and facts that can help club members develop their communication skills. Louis's talk tonight is entitled Controlling Fear. This talk will help you transmute fear from an enemy to an ally. Please help me welcome Louis Denbow.
Good evening, Madam Toastmaster, club members, guests, and viewers at home. I picked this topic thinking that, well, maybe only 1, maybe 2 of you would have this problem. Anybody here relate to having to manage their fear when they're speaking? Or, yeah, okay, so more than 1 or 2. I've broken this talk down into 3 sections. The first are triggers to anxiety. The next is symptoms of anxiety. And then most importantly, how do we manage anxiety? So let's start. Anxiety triggers. The first anxiety trigger is new and unknown situations. It's human nature. When we're somewhere new, some new situation, we feel anxious. I remember getting on a plane to India for the first time. I was anxious. You know, big country, would I get lost? I heard of all the poverty, you know, and there's robberies and everything. And so first time going, unknown situation, I was anxious. Second one is risk of failure. When I was a child, I loved baseball. I was good too. When I was around 10, 12, 13, I went to a sleepaway camp for the summer and I was on the all-star team. In high school, I was on the high school team. But you know what? When there were spectators watching, I had this anxiety playing center field. What if the ball comes out and I misjudge it and I run in and it goes over my head? Or I think it's coming to me and I stand still and it falls in front of me. Fear of failure, anxiety. The next is potentially appearing foolish. Another trigger for anxiety. Many, many years ago, I went on an international course, and part of the course was to read some material, and we sat in a circle and we passed the material around. And everyone took a turn reading. So finally the material comes to me, and I start reading. And everyone's laughing like they're having the time of their life. Ha, 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 ha. And it dawned on me, they're laughing at me. Because not only do I have a New York accent, but back then I had a heavy New York accent. And they thought it was the funniest thing. So I finished reading, I passed the book around, and I noticed that as it's making its way back to me, I'm getting anxious again, because I'm going to appear to be foolish yet again. Now, the possibility of boredom. Another story from my life. When I was in graduate school and in law school, one of the things that I did is I was a teaching assistant for the accounting department. I taught Accounting 101. It was a required course for all business majors. Now, the accounting majors, very few of them, loved the course. They were eating it up. This is accounting, yeah, good stuff. But the rest of the majors, the marketing majors, the management majors, the other majors in business, they hated it. It's accounting. Who needs this stuff? And I'd walk in every day to teach, and I could just sense the fact they're already bored. And it's terrible as a teacher, as a speaker, getting up in front of a group that's bored. Not a great experience. So you start to get anxious. Oh God, can't I do something to liven this up? Take away the boredom? No. So those are the triggers. When any of those happen, we get anxious. Now let's look at the symptoms. If you get triggered, your anxiety is up, one of the things that might happen is your heart is pounding. If you're sitting in your chair, you know you're the next one to speak, your heart might pound. And then you get up, your heart might pound. Anybody ever have that happen to them? Okay. What about this one? Butterflies in the stomach. That queasy feeling, the knot in the stomach, it's like, ugh. Anybody else? Yes? Okay. Yeah, these are common. Uncontrollable shakes. You know, your hand might be going like this, like, oh, I got to turn the page, but, or your leg. I get in the leg, my leg starts like, whoa. And then lightheadedness, dizziness. Yes, so has everyone had at least one of these experiences? Yes, raise your hand if you've had at least one of these. Okay. Luis, you haven't had it?
No. I just was surprised.
So these are the anxiety symptoms. Now, these symptoms represent something called fight or flight or freeze response. This is built into us for thousands of years as human beings. And sometimes it's a good thing. I remember the story of the two men hiking through the jungle, and they come to a clearing. They step into the clearing, and guess what they see? This huge, ferocious tiger, looking at them with his big teeth. Well, anxiety trigger goes on, and they freeze. Fight, flight, or freeze. And they're stuck for about 15, 20 seconds. And they realize, you know what? This is not going to work. So the flight part cuts in. And now they're running away, they're running away, they're running. Finally, after about a minute, one of them says, you know, this is the stupidest thing we could think of. There's no way we can outrun a tiger. And the other guy looks at him and says, I'm not trying to outrun the tiger, I'm just trying to outrun you.
Yeah.
So sometimes fight, flight, or freeze is good, but not when we're trying to give a speech. So what do? We have to manage it. And here we go. So the first thing that we can do to manage our anxiety is get experience. I told you before that when I took my first trip to India, I was really anxious. But guess what, folks? I've now made 4 trips to India. And now I can really enjoy those trips. I know where I'm going. I know nothing is going to happen to me. I know how to navigate the airport. It's great. So what can you do as a speaker? You can practice in front of a mirror. It's experience. You can practice in front of your family and friends. You can practice at Toastmasters. And you can practice before other kinds of clubs. Just get in front of people and practice and get the experience. And little by little, you'll feel more at home with the experience of speaking in front of people. And that will reduce the anxiety. So experience is the first thing you can do. The next is visualization. Now, I remember a long time ago, someone said, here's the trick to getting over your anxiousness when you speak in front of a crowd. You walk up to the lectern, you stand behind it, and you just look at the audience and you imagine that they're all in their underwear. And what does that look like? Do you think that works? No! That's a silly idea. I don't know who came up with it, but it's bound to be a distraction. But visualization can work if you do it right. You see, because the mind and body are intimately connected, the body doesn't know if the experience that's happening in the mind is real or imagined. Sometimes when I give a workshop, I do this demonstration with a lemon. I have people close their eyes and imagine a lemon in front of them. They see the lemon, it's yellow, it's got those little dimples in it, and then I say, imagine cutting the lemon open. And then imagine putting it up to your nose and smelling the lemon, and then touching your lips with the lemon. And inevitably, most of the people will their lips will start to pucker up, their tongue will start watering inside, because the mind thinks it's experiencing a lemon. And then the body reacts that way. So, to visualize works this way. You're in your car, you're getting ready to come to the lecture. Visualize yourself walking out of your car, into the building, into the room, shaking hands with people, connecting with them. Visualize yourself sitting down, waiting confidently for the person to introduce you. Visualize yourself coming up to the podium, looking at the audience. Visualize yourself giving your speech with your gestures, with your vocal variety, with humor, with everything you want to put into it. And then visualize yourself concluding, and visualize the applause as you walk gracefully back to your chair. You can actually do that in about 3, 4, 5 minutes and trick the body into thinking, wow, I'm relaxed because I know how this is going to unfold. So I encourage you to use it. Next we have relaxation. I'd like to have you join in as participants in this and stand up, and we're going to do this together, some relaxation exercises. I know many of you practice a meditation technique that relaxes you, but this is something that you can actually do outside the room before you give your speech. The first is overhead to toe touching, and don't stretch down more than is comfortable. So breathe in as you reach up, and exhale going down towards your toes. Hold it a few seconds, back up, inhaling, and exhale and go down. Okay, come back up to our normal position. That's the first exercise. The next one, we'll stand for this one too, I call arm circles. Put your arms out parallel to the ground, And we're going to make circles in a forward position with our hands about 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stop. Now go backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, good. Last one that we're going to do standing. And this one I call neck rolls, head rolls. And we're going to go first in a clockwise position. So let your head fall gently down to your chest. And now roll to the right, all the way back, down to the left. Keep going slowly to the right, all the way back, down to the left, and back to center. Head up. Now we're going to go counterclockwise. So head down to the left, and up to the back, down to the right, center, back up on the left, all the way to the top, down on the right, down in front, and we're done. Okay, have a seat. Now, is anybody feeling like some release of stress or tension in the neck? Anyone feel it even crack when they were doing it? Anybody? Yes? Okay. So the next one is tense and release, is what I call it. And we'll do this again with the neck. You just tense up the neck and shoulders and release. I heard a crack over there. You hear that? Crack, tense and release. Tense and release. And you can do that with any part of the body that feels stress. And last but not least, very important one, diaphragmatic breathing. Now most of us breathe very shallowly. If we breathe only into the lungs. But we can actually breathe past the lungs into the middle of the chest, down into the diaphragm. And we're not going to really do this one here. The best way to do it, though, is at home, lie down on the floor on your back, and get a book. Not a very big one, not the dictionary, maybe something smaller, and put it on your abdomen. And then you breathe in, you go past the lungs, past the chest, all the way into the abdomen. So that'd be, and you should see the book rising as your abdomen fills up with air. And then breathe down, out. First let the air out of the lungs, then out of the center, and then out of the abdomen. As you decrease the abdomen, you should see the book going down. You can do that as you practice on the floor, standing up before you enter the room. And it'll really, really calm you down, giving you way more oxygen in your bloodstream. Here are just some miscellaneous points. Don't overeat. You don't need extra food joining the butterflies. There's already enough in there. Butterflies floating around, don't block their space by eating too much. Next, I've said this before, use the restroom. I've had a couple speeches where I came in, sat down, and I'm ready to get up and speak. And I said, I got to go to the bathroom. Take care of that before. You don't need that distraction. Dress for success. Okay? Look your best. And to add to that, don't wear anything distracting. If you're a woman, don't wear some big necklace like Diane is, and everyone's looking and saying, wow, like that's a really beautiful, I wonder where she got it. Is that from Walmart or is that from America's Diamond? It's like, give them something other, don't give them anything other than you to look at. Finally, when we're dressing for success, so many times I've thought, wow, I need a new pair of shoes. And I get the new pair of shoes and I wear them to the speech and it's like, oh my God, these are stiff, they're uncomfortable. Don't break in a new pair of shoes when you're giving a talk. So tonight we looked at anxiety, how it can interfere with our speaking, and we've also looked at 3 ways to manage it: relaxation, experience, and visualization. I hope before you give your next speech, you will start to use 1 or 2 or 3 of these, and I hope your next speech is way more comfortable for you and that you can really fully enjoy it. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Please take 2 minutes. There's evaluation sheets. Yeah, we've all got them. We'll time 2 minutes, please, timer, to evaluate. Welcome back. As I said earlier, we only had one speech, so we're going to move now into the evaluation section. And to run that section, I'd like to introduce Art Atkinson, our general evaluator. Art?
Thank you, Diane. Good evening, Toastmasters. My heavy duties this evening will consist of calling on Lewis's evaluator, Rick Starr, to give us an evaluation of this speech.
Mr. General Evaluator, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests and viewers at home, and especially Lewis. Lewis, what a great speech. I really enjoyed it. I think you did a terrific job. I'm going to go through the points of the evaluation guide. How effective was the speaker's introduction in helping the audience understand the purpose of the presentation and the purpose of the Better Speaker Series? Very good. Lewis started out with a very interesting technique of an implied question saying, I'm sure there aren't more than one or two of you who have experienced fear of public speaking. And this is a very good technique because it underplays it. And fear of public speaking is one of the greatest fears that all of us have experienced. The second point was the presenter adequately prepared. How heavily did the presenter rely on notes? Very well prepared, very well rehearsed, no notes. Did the speaker use vocal variety to enhance this presentation? Yes. It's one of Lewis's strengths to use vocal variety, and a good example is when the explorers are going into the clearing of the jungle and Lewis spoke very softly. Then they saw the tiger! So it was like that all throughout the speech. Lewis did that very well. What other techniques did the speaker use to personalize and augment the presentation? Were they effective? Very effective. The implied question at the beginning, stories from Lewis's own experience, humorous stories, asked a lot of questions, gave experiences of the examples of the physical symptoms, your leg shaking, and also gave the demonstration of relaxation techniques. Did the speaker display the visuals smoothly and appropriately? Yes, very good visuals, clear, logical flow of them. All the equipment worked, thank goodness. What aspect of the speaker's presentation style did you find unique? Use of jokes in a serious topic. Jokes are more effective when they're contrasted to a mood or a situation, and the underlying situation is everyone's fear, so they were very effective. And Lewis is a very powerful and authoritative presenter, but also very sincere and believable. And so when you hear Lewis talk, you think, well, maybe he's wrong, but he sounds like he's right. Also very reassuring, which is important with this speech. Was the presentation logical? Yes, very clear, logical presentation. What did you like about the presentation? The things I mentioned, personal stories, good structure, good use of vocal variety, audience participation, humor, and at the end there was a good summary and a call to action, asking the audience to do some of these techniques. What didn't I like about the speech? Lewis, the fact that you gave it. I was going to give the same speech 3 weeks from now. There's no way I can follow you. Madam
Okay,
Toastmaster.
thank you. Thank you. Good. We are now going to watch a presentation. I don't know actually much about what we're going to watch. We are going to watch something. This is a little treat, one of these things we're putting in because we didn't have as many speakers. So before we move into table topics, we have a short presentation. Enjoy.
Since this is the section of prepared speeches, you're going to see someone who's really, really prepared because he won the international competition.
Is this year's? Is this?
year, Louis?
The international competition.
What year?
Oh, I'm sorry, 2014.
One from Sri Lanka.
I have not seen it.
Dhanajaya Hiriarachi. I see something. I see something. Dhanajaya Hiriarachi. You and I are not very different from this flower. Just like this flower is unique, you are unique. All of us has something special that makes us as beautiful. Do you know what makes you special? Now the answer to that can be a little difficult to find, because sometimes life has a cruel way of picking out your petals, breaking you in two, and throwing you into the trash. And when you're broken, it's very difficult to feel special. Mr. Goddess Chair, my fellow flowers, I can remember the first time I broke. I was 17 years old. I had already flunked high school and managed to get myself arrested. Now, I wasn't afraid of the cops, but there was one person I was very afraid of, and that was my mama. Raise your hand if you have an emotional mother. Let me see. Put them all together. You get my mama. I can hear her scream outside the police station. Even the cops were afraid. She came up to me, held the iron bars, looked into my eyes, and I saw a tear coming down her face. Now, I've seen my mama cry before, but mothers cry 3 types of tears. Tears of joy, tears of sorrow, and tears of shame. And when a son sees a mother cry tears of shame, that's a life-changing moment. She looked at me and said, son, I want you to be a better man. That night, when I drove home, my dad was waiting for me at home. Now, my dad is a cool dad. Raise your hand if you have a cool dad. Put them all together. You get my dad. My dad came up to me and said, son, it's okay. You flunked your exams. You already got arrested. That's fine. You get that from your mother's side. I want you to start working immediately. And I said, okay. So my dad took me to meet one of his friends called Sam. Now Sam was an accountant who had an accounting firm and had generously decided to make me his personal assistant. And there he was. He looked like a teddy bear. But this man was special. I looked at him, and he looked at me. And then he said the most amazing thing. He said, son, I see something in you, but I don't know what it is. If you decide to work with me, I can help you find that something. And I was like, whoa, that's the first time in my whole life somebody has ever told they seen something in me. And I started working for Sam. And every day after work, he used to tell me stories about the world, about history, about culture, about philosophy. And it was much more interesting than what I learned in school. And I discovered I can dream. And I started dreaming, ladies and gentlemen. After 1 year, I went back into high school, completed my exams, and went into college. After successfully completing college, I found a great girl, but not a job. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. Have you ever had that problem? And when you're lost, it's difficult to feel special. So I went back to my cool dad. And I said, Dad, I feel lost. He said, you are like your mother. So my dad introduced me to this strange club that had a strange name, with strange people talking. On the first meeting, they told me to do something called a table topping. I aced it. But while I was speaking, I see a strange man seated in the back row. Humble, simple. The unfailing quality of kindness in his eyes. As soon as I finished, he walked up to me, looked me dead straight in the eye, and said, son, I see something in you. But I don't know what it is. If you come here twice a month, maybe we can find that something. And ladies and gentlemen, I discovered I could speak, and I love speaking. And that led me to become a teacher. I know what it's like to not have enough money in your bank account. I know what it's like to worry when the bills start coming in. And sometimes, in the middle of the night, I wake up my beautiful wife and I ask her, honey, why did you marry me? She says, I saw something in you. But I still don't know what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm a dreamer, I'm a speaker, and I learned the unfailing quality of unconditional love from my wife. I was broken, and I've been broken, lost, and broke many times in my life. But the people in my life were able to reach into the trash can and make me whole again. If it was up to me, I would have never been able to do that. And this is why if you have great people in your life, no matter how broke, how lost, or how broken you become, they can piece you back together. Ladies and gentlemen, when I look at you, I see something. But I don't know what it is. Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Terrific.
Awesome. I get to see that.
Thank you. Great idea, thank you. Well, let's see what we see in each other in this next section as we do table topics. And to lead us in that, I'd like to invite up Luis Correll.
Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests, viewers at home. We have reached the third part of our meeting. And this is the part where Toastmasters encourages you and challenges you to improve your impromptu speaking skills. This part of the meeting is specially designed to help you listening, thinking, organizing, and speaking. Now, this section's theme today will be democracy, political kind of scenarios, and I have 5 different questions. Guests are more than welcome. Anybody who wants to come up as well, have a chance to do so. So who can be our first volunteer?
Volunteers. Right.
Thank you for volunteering. You will have 1 to 2 minutes to answer the question that I have, unrehearsed question. I have one, choose a number from 1 to 5.
1.
Why should I bother voting?
Good evening, Toastmasters, friends, guests, viewers at home. The question before us is, why should I bother to vote? Tonight would be the night to do it. If you haven't done it already, the polls close in 25 minutes. No, I think the polls may close 35 minutes ago. We live in what is customarily called a democracy. It's actually a republic. The Athenians tried democracy about 2,500 years ago and discovered that it degenerated quickly into mob rule and resulted in travesties of justice. Socrates, for example, was condemned to death by hemlock poisoning as a result of a democratic vote. He just stirred up a few too many animosities with very pointed questions. Why should we vote in our present system? Actually, it's important to know that you have 3 votes under the present form of government. One of those votes is the one that we conventionally think of as voting at the ballot box on election day. But you actually have a second opportunity to vote, and that is if you are impaneled on a grand jury to decide whether or not it is permissible for the government to bring a prosecution at all. It's a very powerful way in which we, the people, under our form of government, can limit the abuse of power by the executive branch of government. And you have a third vote as a member of a panel of 12 people called a jury. If a prosecution gets brought, you can actually vote whether the prosecution should succeed or whether it should fail. Guilty or not guilty. Those 3 powerful votes are what our founders installed as the mechanism by which we, the people, would exercise supreme power. Unfortunately, we only exercise one of those votes usually, and that's the one you ought to use tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Art. I also forgot to mention that you have 30 seconds to collect your thoughts on the DS to see where you want to go. That's very important for one of the first questions. Do I have another vote here? So pick a number from 2 to 5. 2. What do you think of Winston Churchill's quote, "Democracy is the worst system, except all others"?
Winston Churchill represented a time in our world history that was very tumultuous. He's a wizened man. I'm not familiar with that quote myself, but thinking on it, it's very poignant, especially in today's society where we rely on each other's opinions so very much. The systems that were doomed to fail in that period of time, both fascism and communism on the rise, would obviously be the necessary evils to that quote, in which democracy does ring true as the best system representing an entire public society, not afraid of its government, not afraid to voice its opinion. So I would say that he was right on target with where our world needed to head. I can only hope that we as a people can back up his wishes and the wishes of his fellow leaders in that time and carry it on through today. Thanks.
Thank you, Matthew. Do you have any more volunteers this evening?
I'll go.
I'll see you after.
Yeah. Yes.
We are left with numbers from 3 to 5.
All right. So let's keep the flow going. Go with 3.
3.
1, 2, 3.
All right.
Easy as 1, 2, 3.
the Supreme Court ruled this year corporations to have the same rights as individuals and to be able to give money to political campaigns just as much as the individuals. How do you feel about this rule?
All right. Okay, Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home. If I were to have $1 million, and I chose to influence the election in any way I wanted with my money, it seems unfair that my money would be worth more than the votes of all of the people in the country. It's as if something material can just outweigh the top 1%, let's say, have more influence on maybe padding their own bank accounts or just destroying the coast with the oil spills. It seems reckless to let corporations influence the world in a way that they want. So I think I think it was called Citizens United, the law that was passed, and I've personally voted against, or I support organizations that are against Citizens United, and so personally it seems kind of like a unfair ruling. So I hope the future generations choose to just make it more make voting as we do today. Every election, every 4 years we vote, and I think the vote should count more than the money, because money doesn't necessarily make you a person, and it doesn't make you a person. It's more about your values and your experience and your ethics than just what you want from your money. So I think the personal values of life that make up the should make the decisions of America rather than the money. All right.
We have 2 more questions.
Let me just check the time. We have time?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
okay.
going on 15. So.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Okay, 4 over 5. This country is only as good as its voters. Do you agree or disagree? This country is only as good as its voters.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home. I think there are a lot of different ways to evaluate and make a judgment about our country. The natural resources, which really don't have anything to do with voters, are outstanding. We could make a judgment about the country just on resources that had nothing to do with people involved. However, if we want to look at society, political systems, and how those contribute to a country's reputation, I would have to say that our voters are the ones who send positive, problem-solving, vision-oriented people to lead and direct a nation, or send the opposite types of people, people who are not willing to compromise or to collaborate, who remain fixed in certain positions, perhaps isolationist, in which case that's the reputation of the country. And we see it in the European Union, we see it here in our country. I really feel that it's everyone's responsibility to vote and to express an opinion, whether or not you think it's going to matter. I just think it's part of the character of what makes a country collaborative, contributory, and I'm hoping everybody had a chance to vote, even though it's an off election, as they all say, but it's just part of being in this process to go vote. It's an excellent question. I thank you very much for it.
Thank you, Dee. Table topic evaluator. Now it's time for you to evaluate the We will vote on speakers before we do that. Mr. Timekeeper, did everybody qualify?
Everybody qualified. Our speakers were Art, Matthew, Prana, and Gene.
I got time to vote right now. Evaluator, can you please come up?
Fellow Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home. Today's theme was democracy. And every speaker, all the speakers did a very good job. I'll take one by one. Art did a very good job. He came prompt. And he talked about 3 ways how people can vote and they're not using it. And he was very confident and firm. So he looks, he has good knowledge about it. He showed all his knowledge. The only suggestion I have is he was kind of standing at the same position for like 2 minutes. And you have 3 points. You'd have done a little bit of, like Dhananjay did, you saw in the video. The first point, he said, the second and third. At least your hand gestures. That was my suggestion, otherwise you did a very good job. And Matthew, you used the time, the 30 seconds, you used like 15 seconds, you thought what you're gonna speak, that you can utilize 30 seconds. That's a very good technique. When you are not ready to speak, you can use that 30 seconds and think what you're gonna speak. You use that. And you said you're not familiar with the code, but you take different way, and that's very good that you said, I'm not familiar with that code, but I know this. That's how you can do the table talking, because you're never gonna know what they're gonna ask you. So you don't know anything. You can't know everything in this universe. So that's a very good technique. My suggestion is work on little bit gestures. Most of the time you're still, like standing still here. So just a little bit of hand gestures and body movement. And prana, the same thing goes to you. You have a very good voice, and but a little bit of eye contact, a bit more eye contact, because I saw you looking down, and sometimes you have your hands inside your pocket, speaking to the floor. So if you just choose somebody, your friend, somebody you're very familiar with, so you can just see him and talk to him. That side, that would be very good. And you can use your 30 seconds before you speak so that you can plan and organize your speech. And Gene, you were a very good speaker and you did a very good job. You took that 30 seconds, you utilized that 30 seconds, you thought, like you used 15 seconds like this. And you have very good hand gestures, hand movements. And you answered the question, answered the question in different way. And you have You have good voice, vocal varieties, everything. So you did a very good job. And for now, I don't have any suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jyoti Raj. Now I will call upon our role players to give their reports, beginning with our timer, Dan Craig.
Tonight, Lewis's speech was 16 minutes and 8 seconds. The table topic speakers are 2 minutes 28, Matthew 1 minute 4, Prana 2 minutes 22, Jean 1 minute 58. Our evaluators, Rick was 3 minutes and 22 seconds, Jyoti Raj was 3 minutes and 18 seconds. Thank you.
Next, Dr. Marion Diane Denbaum.
Thank you. I'm not sure if I missed anyone. I believe I used the word represent twice. Did anybody else use it?
3 times.
I think Matthew did.
Lots.
And Matthew, did you use
Pretty sure.
represent?
I tried it anyway.
Women are usually good at multitasking, however, I missed it, so Matthew used it once. Other uses of language that I enjoyed this evening, and also visuals for me. Lewis, you talked about these anxiety triggers. That triggered a lot of anxiety in me, so I enjoyed the word. I don't know what it was. And then just these great visuals about you being out in center field and your shaking leg and then running from the tiger. And that whole thing around the lemon was fantastic. Art, just when you said 3 palpable votes and the mechanism of we the people. Matthew, your voice was so pleasant, it was hard for me not to, I wanted to keep looking at you. But the way you said poignant just touched me. And Prana, keep the flow going. And then when you asked, really, does money have to be more powerful than the voters? And Jean, I picked up from you part of the character of the country. It's like that character of the country. And that's my report for the evening. Thank you.
And now for our accountant, Jean Simon Craig.
Lewis, 2 you knows, 12 so's, 1 well, 2 repeats, 3 ands, 4 nows. It's a lot of talking, a lot of time up. Rick, 10 ahs, 6 repeats. Diane, I have clear. Louise, I have 1 Art, I have 1 and. Matthew, I have 2 ahs and 1 so. Prana, this is where you'll see some improvement with club membership, so congratulations on that. 1 5 ahs, 3 you knows, 4 so's, 11 repeats, 2 ands, 1 okay. Okay, now. Jyoti Raj, 1 2 ahs, 1 so. And that's my report.
The next report would be from our joke master. Did we have a volunteer?
Yes, Jean.
I just thought of one, but Jean, come forward, please. Let's hear it.
I'm just going to preface this quickly. I was driving home from the Conscious Communicators Fort Madison Prison Club on Saturday, and the Prairie Home Companion Garrison Keeler joke show was on, and I heard so many jokes. I kept going, oh, I got to remember that one. Oh, I got to remember that one. Oh, I got to remember that one. So I'm going to try to do this one. There's an American Indian chief, and he has 3 squaws. The first squaw is in a bison-covered tent, and she has 1 son. The next squaw is in a leopard-covered tent, and she has 1 son. The third squaw is in a tent that's covered with hippopotamus, and she has 2 sons, twin sons. So, the sons of the squaw of the hippopotamus are equal to the son of the squaws of the other hides. You have to know your hypotenuse and
Very good.
some of you are still thinking.
Totally mathematically inclined.
The geometry
Yeah.
came back.
We have shortchanged one portion of our meeting.
It's very nice.
There were two evaluators. Mr. Timer, were both of them qualified as evaluators?
They were.
Therefore, we have an opportunity to vote. We have Jyoti Raj and Rick Starr as two evaluators competing for one of the prizes tonight. So
So
please
please
call out
vote.
your ballots. Get busy. I thought of an interim joke in the.
This isn't in the schedule.
Go for it.
But we have time.
Is there a part of the world in which would not be a filler word but would be acceptable? And would the Toastmasters clubs in that part of the world have a different set of rules? I say in India, in Nepal, is probably a very acceptable sound to make. It's an off-the-cuff joke. Next, I will pontificate for a brief moment. And that is to evaluate the two evaluators. Rick Starr was fulsome in his praise of all of the excellence of Lewis's speech. He liked everything. He didn't have a recommendation for Lewis, but I actually do. Lou, one of the things that I noticed, I actually had a different opinion from Rick about vocal variety. There was a little bit, but mostly you spoke in your extraordinarily large, booming, room-filling voice the whole time. And I believe you have the capacity to modulate it much more widely than you usually do. Jyoti Raj did the usual excellent job of evaluating many people in a brief period and giving an observation about what was done well and a recommendation for improvement. He gave me one, he gave each of the table topic speakers an item that could be improved. End of my evaluator's pontification. I will now return the lectern to our Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you. Great, thank you so much. Now is the exciting part where we give out awards. And we like to do a drum roll here. So we're going to drum roll. And I'm going to give the first award to the best table topic speaker. And that award tonight goes to Art Atkinson. Thank you so much. Good job. Oh, I got two evaluating things out. Okay. The next award that I'm going to give out is for the best speaker. Drum roll because the suspense, we cannot take it. Louis Denbell, he was disqualified. He was disqualified. Oh my God.
Mr. Timer?
Okay.
Was that 1 minute and 8 from the time the red light went on?
Yep.
The timer was a little lax.
Aha.
I'm giving you the red light.
Aha.
Therefore, I say, give him the award.
All right, come on up. What the
I know
heck?
I wrapped up as soon as that red light went on.
Is this corrupt politics going on? Congratulations, Mr. Denbell.
Yeah.
And finally, drum roll. Best evaluator this evening is Rick Starr. Rick, come on. running on time. Hope you had a pleasant evening. And I'm now going to invite up the president to wrap things up and make his closing comments. Mr. Lewis?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Aha, foil again. Okay. I would like to recognize Rick Starr for completing his bronze.
Yes.
All right, come on up. We have something for you. Our district, which is the largest part that we belong to, is basically the state of Iowa, is giving out gift certificates to the Toastmasters International website. So you can buy manuals and DVDs there. And for completing your bronze, you get those 2 certificates.
Thank you.
A round of applause.
And that
Jean
means
was already recognized for her 3 awards, and she received $30.
Boku bucks.
How much? $30?
Boku.
Yes.
I don't know, I haven't counted it yet.
wow.
4, 5, yep.
$30 she gets to spend in the Toastmasters Book Club. Congratulations. And I have a person who I need to honor, not here for the 2nd meeting in a row, so we'll wait till next week there. Now, one thing to bring to your attention is the district meeting, fall meeting is coming up. It is Friday, November 14th, and all day Saturday, November 15th. The district competition is on the Saturday. You'll get to see people from all over the state who won their area competition contest for the humorous speaking and for the evaluation. Division, yes. No. Oh.
Yeah.
So the people who won the division, thank you. The people who won the division, which is division A, B, C, D, and E, will compete at the district for those contests. So you're encouraged to go. You'll see a lot of very interesting speeches. You'll meet people. I don't know who from this club is going. I am going to be out of town, otherwise I'd be going. So if you plan on going, you want to go, send an email to our club email list and see if you can arrange to go with someone else. It's fun to drive in the car there and back. It's in Waterloo, I think. Anyway, I'll send out another email confirming the time, the price, and all of that. Jean?
And it also should be on the District 19
Yes.
website under conference. So District 19, it's number 19.me is the website.
Yeah. I'll send a link to that too, so you don't have to remember all that. Okay, so one thing that you will have noticed that is different that we did tonight, we did table topics at the end. Most Toastmaster clubs do it that way. We maybe had done that a while ago and we migrated to doing it at the beginning. We're going to try doing it at the end now for a while and see how we like that. It has some advantages to running the meeting and keeping it more on time if we do the table topics at the end. So wait and see what happens as we go along with that. Club officers, any club business?
So yeah, we'll put Prana in.
Yeah, I just signed up.
So how do you want to do this, Jean?
So what we do, Prana, is we have a vote. And so we have you go out and
Okay.
we discuss your history and
Mhm.
qualifications.
My background check.
Your background
Yeah,
check,
right.
yep. And then we
Okay.
vote you in, and then we have an inductions ceremony.
Okay.
So I don't know if do you want to do that now?
It's up to you. You're the
How long
vice
does it
president.
I would love to do it now.
Okay, so Prana, would you
How long does
mind?
it
Yeah,
take?
we'll take
Except, no, wait, I have to have, no, okay. I can vote him in, I don't have my induction material, but the voting in is
Yeah.
what can help
Yes.
us get started.
Okay.
Then I can
Yeah,
enroll.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So-
just take a step.
okay,
Okay,
so let's see,
take a
let's
step
have,
outside on the other
hang on,
side.
we should have scored him out.
And what about Matthew?
Yeah, do I need to
Matthew's
go?
a guest, so. You can wait outside with prom.
Seems
Are
rather-
you, are you,
a full-time student at MUM, and I'm also an RA, so there's an increased responsibility for me on campus and being involved in the student body. And this has actually provided me with a lot of inspiration and a lot of just raw material and resource that I can give to the students. And so I really appreciate the presence of this club.
Cool.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for coming. All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Okay, anyone second that motion?
Second.
All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? Meeting adjourned.
Woo!
Thank you all.